Welcome back to my channel for this week's Human Design Transit Report. And today is Monday, May 1st. Happy Beltane, everyone. Happy May Day. This is a time of great celebration in the earth-based spiritualities that notes that this is now when we're full on in spring in the Northern Hemisphere. There's celebrations going on everywhere. If you have kids, you might be going around a maypole. And it's just a celebration of fertility, of the earth coming back full on here in the Northern Hemisphere. And so I hope that you'll take a little special time for yourself today to celebrate the abundance and the fact that our earth is just so tenacious and she just keeps coming back, and we want to really bow and honor her. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. We have something really interesting happening for the month of May, which is that all of the sun and the earth activations are going to be in the knowing circuit the entire month. So we'll talk about that as we go along, but let's just take a moment and talk about the knowing circuit. So the knowing circuit is in individual circuitry. It is the largest subcircuit of anything in the chart. It's a huge circuit. You can see from this image here, it starts here, splits, goes around both sides of the body, and then up through the central channel. And so it's a huge circuit. It's really, really important. And it's very interesting. I haven't seen an analog to this in any other system. There may be one, but I don't know if there is, what it would be. But the knowing circuit is here, well, all individual circuitry is here to be different. It's here to bring change. It does not fit in. And it's where the evolutionary impulse of humanity runs through the chart, and especially through the knowing circuit. So the knowing circuit, you just know stuff. You didn't learn it anywhere. You weren't taught it. You didn't read it in a book. Nobody told you about it. You just have this deep sense of knowing. It's been renamed the Gnostic Circuit in quantum human design. And Gnostic means direct connection to source. Okay, it's the word that would be used for like Christian mystics, who are the ones who kind of just really got their direct connection, and they didn't necessarily need the priests in the way. So we have a history of that in kind of Christian mysticism. And so that's what Gnostic comes from. And so here, this is not inside of a Christian, or rather Judeo-Christian context, but really talking about how this circuit is plugged directly into superconsciousness, or what I like to call the creative intelligence of the universe, or even the flow of life, which are my words and the way that I feel and express my connection to spirit. So you're going to have your own words for that. Could be universe, could be God, could be goddess. There's many different words and many different languages for what we think of as this kind of guiding intelligence that is creating our universe and is created every one of us, and is actually, we are expressing through our own individuality that great consciousness. So the Gnostic circuit, or the knowing circuit, is a way of expressing this kind of direct connection. And so a lot of the things that come through the knowing circuit are really leading edge. They're deep insights. They're pretty out of the box, often very countercultural, because they're not about culture. They're really about our direct connection to source and to spirit. This is actually my primary circuitry, is in the knowing circuit. And when I learned that, it explained so many things about my life and about myself. So it's a great thing to just take this image here and go see what you've got that's defined in your chart. But remember, you have all of the knowing circuit in your chart, whether it's defined or not. And during this month, we're going to kind of be walking through a bunch of the different gates of the knowing circuit. So you're going to get to know it really well, kind of especially if you don't have it defined in your chart, because you can feel the transits even more. So pay attention to this, and maybe just write in your journal as you go along and see what kind of insights are coming to you. Because when I do readings for people, when I tell them, for example, they have a lot of intuition or something, especially if they have a lot of the knowing circuit, I'll say, I bet that you get downloads. And a lot of times they'll go, yeah. And I'm like, well, what do you do with those? And they're like, nothing. or maybe I'll write it in my journal. I don't know. I don't really know what to do with any of that. So if this is true for you, or if it's true for you during this month while the knowing circuit's being lit up, I really encourage you, yes, writing it in your journal is great. Painting about it, drawing about it, just doing something that helps you to kind of express it and get it out and capture it. Because like a lot of intuition and kind of dreamy things, it kind of comes and goes, right? It'll come and then it'll dissipate. And so capturing it and writing it down, and then honoring it, recognizing that this is divine guidance that's coming to you, divine inspiration. Now, you want to use your authority to be able to determine, is this something for me? Is it something for me now? Is it something for me later? You want to be able to kind of dig in, because just because you get a download, it doesn't mean, oh, I need to go manifest that right now. But it also could be something that is very important, that there will come a time when it's right for you and it's right for you to pursue it. So in our evolutionary process, from my point of view, we are evolving into being more and more intuitive. And this is an opportunity for us to really practice that together. So my invitation to you is to just take some time and really notice, and don't discard. And if you start to doubt it, because that happens a lot, we doubt our intuition because we can't prove it. There's no place we learned it. There's no reference we can do, right? And we can't repeat it because it's none of those things. It lives really kind of in a different dimension than that. And I believe that we are going to be receiving, and we are receiving, a lot of important insights that are going to help us to be able to really address the big issues that we have in our world today. But it's going to come through each person in a way that is appropriate and dialed in for them. And so you're going to have a role in that. What you're receiving, you really want to take a look at that and go, wow, what is that teaching me? What is it inspiring me to do? What is it kind of nudging me towards in my life? And see if you can start to play around with it, start to experiment with it, and see what comes alive for you. Because unfortunately, in Western culture, we don't really honor intuition the way that it deserves. Actually, right? We don't honor it. And we tend to honor logic and left brain, analytical processes, strategy, planning, very linear thinking, that kind of thing, which has its place. It's vital. We need that. But we also need our right brain energy, which is the sensing circuit, right brain, left body. But then the knowing circuit, which is an incredibly beautiful way of connecting with spirit, especially when you kind of learn how to do that. So this is a great opportunity for you to practice. So this Thursday, the sun is going to join Uranus in the gate 2. Now, Uranus has been there for a long time, since September, and he's only going to be there for a few more weeks. So it's interesting that, Uranus has been there lighting up this energy, and then the sun's going to come in and put another spotlight on it before, the sun will move away rather quickly, but then Uranus will move away. So this is a great time to be really maximizing your connection with an expression of the gate 2, which of course is in the knowing circuit. So the gate 2 is right here on the G center. It's at the bottom of the G center, and it is known as the keeper of the keys in traditional human design and in the I Ching. And in quantum human design, it's known as allowing. The really interesting thing about the gate 2 is it's where the magnetic monopole lives in the chart. Now, the magnetic monopole is something specific to human design, and it is a single pole magnet that lives in the heart and that attracts things into your life. So you've probably heard about the heart's magnetic field, right? This big magnetic field creates a torus field. It's actually a much bigger magnetic field, electromagnetic field, than that of the brain. Like the brain's kind of like this, and the heart is like this, right? I mean, it's like way bigger. It's like 500 times bigger. Interesting, right? The magnetic monopole is kind of the human design version of that torus field that is pulling in. So according to the lore of human design, it just attracts, okay? It doesn't repel. repel. So when we're relating to that gate 2, the more that we have a conscious and purposeful way of helping to uplift the quality of the energy of the gate 2, the more that we're going to bring into our lives the things that we're really longing for. So the key here, though, is allowing. It's so interesting because human design really teaches like 91 to 92% of us, everybody is not a manifester, that we're not here to go out and make things happen. Who knew? Right? We're much more designed to be relating to the flow of life through response. If we're generators, any kind of generators, that's 70% of us. And projectors are here to be relating to the flow of life and to be attracting people into our lives that are then going to invite us to do things, right? And then the reflectors are definitely attracting tons of things into their lives because they're so open, and so they're really feeling the transits all the time. So this too is going to be super important for all of us, but particularly for those of us who are not manifestors, because it's about allowing all of the things that we desire into our lives. So we want to be able to really kind of uplift that energy, which is why I provide Kriya practices, right, from Kundalini Yoga, both here on YouTube and then also inside of my Becoming virtual retreat center, because that's one of the ways that you can elevate the quality of the energy of your heart, right? And both of the primary gates that are being highlighted during this upcoming transit are on the heart, because the earth is in the gate 1. I'll come back to that in a minute. It's like on the other side of the heart, on the other side of the G center. So this is a really good time for you to be looking at what's your relationship to your heart energy. A lot of us are kind of around our heart, we've been hurt, things have been hard for us and we've been challenged, maybe somebody, betrayed us or disappointed us or broke our hearts or whatever, right? Or we can even feel brokenhearted about what's happening in the world, right? Because there's all kinds of things if you look out. And so what tends to happen is we tend to kind of armor our heart, put on some body armor, kind of lock it up, because we're like, I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to feel all of that. But the thing is when you do that, you're also not allowing in the things that you want to come to you, right? Because you can't shut it down and just let in certain things, right? It really needs to be open and receptive. Now, having said that, you also want to fill your body up with your own energy. You want to calibrate the energy of that magnetic monopole and your whole G center to the kind of highest frequency that you can reach. It's partly emotional because as we're moving into the new phase of human design, the emotional solar plexus is becoming more and more important, and it's creative emotional energy. It's not just like the feelings, right? It's like, I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel disappointed, I feel excited, right? Those are kind of feelings that do relate to the emotional solar plexus. But its true power is in its creative ability, which is that emotional energy is creative. So it's when we get really emotionally connected to and excited about and feeling positive anticipation for what it is that we want to bring into our lives that we're uplifting the energy of that heart center. So that's one thing to really be focusing on this time is how can you be doing any energy practices that help you do that? Generally speaking, for most of us, if we go out and spend time in nature, we will feel that. If you go to the ocean, you go to the forest, if you just even go to a beautiful park where you live and you relate to a tree, you relate to water, you lie on the earth, sit with your back up against a tree and just, honor the incredible energy field of the tree and just feel the earth underneath you. All of those things tend to help us to just kind of open up and release some of those things that might have had us close down our hearts. On the other side of the G center is the gate 1. It's just pointing up towards the throat. And the gate 1 in traditional human design is known as self-expression. And in quantum human design is known as purpose. So this one, if you think about it, it's coming off the identity center, right? So the heart here, the G center, is the center for love and lovability, identity and direction. Now the will center is also part of the heart. We're just not talking about it today. So it's also part of the heart. But here, this is the center for identity. So it makes sense that the end of the knowing circuit coming up through the central channel and coming through the J center and wanting to express itself would be self-expression, because it's individual circuitry. It's in the knowing circuit, which is your own access to super consciousness is coming through here, right? But then it's coming through that identity center as well. So it makes sense that it's self-expression, but I really like the way that it's also been named purpose, because it's also about how we're bringing our understanding of this, kind of intense and deep knowing that we have and bringing that out into the world. And that can give us a sense of purpose. Now, let me just say here about purpose. I don't really talk about like you have a purpose. What I say to my clients when they come to, because many people come to me wanting to, have me tell them their purpose. And I'm like, well, really, what you want to look for is what makes you feel on purpose. Because in my view, there's purpose in many, many, many different parts of the chart. It's not just in your incarnation cross. It's not just in gate 1. It's in many different places, which is what I explain to people when I do readings. So, but the one of the keys, I think, and it's emotional, is what makes you feel on purpose, right? When is it that you are enthusiastic? When you're filled with energy, when you feel you could do anything, right? That you want to get up, you want to go and engage with whatever it is. That's a feeling of being on purpose. And especially if you feel that it's going to somehow contribute out into the world, because it's made as the gate of contribution, the 8. And so during this time, you want to be allowing in, right? But I would say, let me put that again. So during this time, you want to ground yourself in this sense of being on purpose, looking for like the emotional tone of that. Because again, we're talking about heart energy here, right? Which is fueled by that emotional solar plexus, and it's creative energy, creative emotional energy. But of course, there's emotional energy in the heart, right? Love, that is emotional energy too. And so you want to be like just grounding yourself in what makes you feel on purpose, so that then you can allow in all of the good that is here to come to you through that gate too. I also want to let you know that I created a reading special to celebrate Beltane and to celebrate the chartathon that I did last week, and that my channel is growing and so on. So actually through the end of today, May 1st at 5 p.m. Pacific time, you can register for a 30-minute reading with me for half price. Okay, there's a clickable link down in the description, so you can go and check that out here. But do not delay, because that special is only going to be good through 5 p.m. today, because I announced it in my community and in the chartathon last week. All right. I really hope that you'll take advantage of it, because I actually love to meet the people in my community. So go ahead and register for that, and I'll see you soon. All right. Much love. Many blessings. Bye for now.